Yeah. You're a man of your word, yeah. Yeah. Here we go. This is what it says. All things are possible when we believe. Old chains are breakable when we receive your way. You keep your promises. If you said it, we believe it. If you said it, hey. If you said it, we believe it. Hey.
Now this for everybody fighting through the pain and the pressure. You know life will try to test you, but you promise not to give up for your mama and your sister, and your brother and your cousin, everybody else that's with you. You the one that's gonna deliver like Amazon Prime. Always on time, yeah. Even when it's looking bad, I never stop trying, cause I've been stressing, I've been crying. My depression had me blind. Sometimes I can't see the signs, but I keep going, I ain't lying. It's for everyone that's grinding for their kids, you're not alone. It's for every child that promised they gon' buy their mama home. For all my 9-to-5ers going hard to make that green clock out, then you just go harder, cause you still got chase that dream. For all my evolving artists, just keep going hard, regardless how people talking about us. You gon' build that startup.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of my New Year Glow Up, New Year season, new series. I'm really excited to introduce my very first guest, Jahmaal Marshal. This song is dedicated to him. It's a special request. And I'm really excited about this conversation because I know there's so many things going on right now. Can you guys hear me? Let me know. Please let me know. But there's so many things going on in this world, and we could definitely use the gift of Jahmaal Marshal with his wisdom and inspiration. So let's welcome him into my show, Mr. Jahmaal Marshal. Here he comes, you guys.
Yo, what's up?
Welcome. This is a beautiful song, by the way.
Man of this morning.
Man of the Word. Is that the name of the song?
Man of your word. That's
Man
it.
of your word. And I feel like you're the man of your word. With your daily videos. How are you feeling today?
Feeling pretty good. I'm hoping the people can hear us because I know they love the music. But
I see Terrell.
Louder than us.
I see Taurus. He says.
I'm hearing the music
Okay,
louder
let me
than
slow it down. You guys, I've always been dreamt of being like a local DJ at a radio station. So I'm living my dream here on LinkedIn. Thank you, Taurus. Welcome, you guys. Hello, Kodang. Hello, Gracie. Good evening, Jeff. So I'm really excited. I'm going to turn down the music here. And that's a beautiful song. Okay. So I know you. We've been following each other now for a few months now. And why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to my community here in case no one out there knows you. But I'm sure you're pretty well known here in the LinkedIn world. But you're blushing. Are you blushing?
You make me blush.
So I'm going to ask you the famous question when I'm interviewing people for jobs, right? With my recruiter role. Tell me about yourself, Jahmaal. Who are you?
All right, I'm Jahmaal Marshal. So I work full-time as a global lead at International Justice Mission. What we are is an anti-human trafficking agency. My passion, yes, that's my sister Tiffany. Let's get into it.
Jennifer's here too. Hey, Jennifer.
Jennifer! Look at me trying to introduce myself. I'm being all ghetto fabulous, but that's me. My passion is counseling, mentoring, advising. I worked for 7 straight years as a counselor and a program coordinator, and also traveling to promote and public speaker. So through COVID, that's when I got those wheels spinning again. I didn't want to do counseling after my dad died. I did not want to mentor and pour my life into anyone and lead anyone or advise anyone in anything. But COVID said, hey, get those wheels spinning. That's what's inside of you. That's who you are. So that is who I am. Mentor, advisor, counselor, public speaker, and global lead.
Jahmaal. Oh my gosh. What else do you not do, right? Wait, say that again. So wait, you did you say that COVID inspired you to start counseling again and mentoring?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
I
really
never wanted
interesting.
to touch it.
You never, what was that?
I didn't want to touch it. After grief is cruel. If anyone's
Mm,
experienced it, I know some people on here have, and it can damage certain things in you, and it can really leave you wounded. And a lot of times we carry those wounds, and that becomes our ethos. That becomes like the very thing we put out there. And it's just like I could say I'm just going to live my whole life in corporate, but it's like, man, you're a square peg in a round hole. Who you fooling? You know.
well, I'm actually really happy to hear that you have your corporate job, but you're also able to follow your passion,
That's it.
right? Yeah. So let's talk about this right now. Like, I think there was like so many different topics that we want to talk about today and going into the new year. And one thing that we really wanted to just talk about was like mindset. So let me ask you this, because we're still kind of going through uncertain times right now and some challenges, but 2020 was the year of so many obstacles, so many challenges. We did a lot of, I mean, we're still kind of navigating through all of the uncertainty of the world. And, you know, what was like the biggest lesson for you for 2020?
2020, one of the biggest lessons for me was to expect the unexpected. And through all the uncertainty, for me, one thing that is certain is that I know where I can go. Like for me, I know we all have on here have very different beliefs, but I can go to God in prayer about anything. And that was so concrete for me because I know there's a lot. Like I think I saw Luke Matthews earlier in the comment. Like that's my dude,
Oh, I
and
love Luke's
yeah,
content.
Luke's amazing. And I love like what he shares. Like one thing about a word that gets lost on LinkedIn, I think a lot. I'll be a little critical here. Is authenticity. You see it so much. To me, it's
Mm,
lost its meaning. And I love the thing about Luke is that he's very authentic. What you see is what you get with him. And I think he grew up in kind of that space. So he says he's not religious or anything like that. Like that's not his bag anymore, but he took from it certain principles. For me, I'm not religious either. I do have a relationship with God through Jesus Christ. That's who I am. So I authentically put that out there. Like I'm not here to tell people what they should believe. Man, you do you. As we say over here in the community, do you, boo.
yes.
Whatever that is.
No. Yes.
But doing me, I knew through all the uncertainty, what is certain is God for me. And I know for me, especially after grief and after my dad died, that was the last thing that was certain. I developed a prayer life by just taking these long walks and just dropping F bombs. That's I said. I did not mean WAP. That's all I could
Yes.
do. I didn't know what to say. I
Right.
questioned, it's in my about section. Everything about God, everything who I was as a man, as a leader, as a counselor, as a shoulder to lean on. I was like, none of it is real. It was all BS. But through all the grief and through the hardship, I got deeper roots. So
Hmm.
through
And when did that?
2020, I learned. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. So
Through
when did
2020,
that? When did you have like that whole discovery year? Was it the year before last year, like 2019? Like when did you
it was
experience that
actually
grief?
it was 2017 was the year he died December 5th, 2017. And you're just trying to get the funeral done. That's all you want to do is just honor them and get the family and all the friends. And it was beautiful. But it was January, like those 21 days after. Yep, Jennifer, she hit it.
Yes,
Hit the nail on the
I
coffin.
like it's like clicking for me too.
Yeah, it all makes sense now.
Yes.
That's when I was so angry. And I was just
Mm,
I couldn't even watch the news, and we'll talk about that later, you and me for sure.
mhm.
But every time I would see the bad news of like a tree fell on somebody's house through a storm, or this person got taken from their mom, or a cop's done this, I'm like, okay, God, if you even existed, these things wouldn't happen. Because one thing we don't reckon with the existence of God is human suffering. That's a
Mhm.
hard tension to live in. It's like if you were so good and you were so real and the Bible says who you says it is, it's like, why is all this stuff happening? Why are
Right.
babies still born? Why is there racism? Why is there I could go down a laundry list of things. And so that grief journey for me after losing my dad, who was my best friend, it's like you took my best friend from me. I just got back from 7 years on a mission field, best years of a young man's life, and I'm in a hospital and now he's gone. I'm like, surely there can't be a good God. Surely there can't even be a God. It's just the universe, and then we just die.
Right.
So, but that anger, I remember going through this thing called grief share for my own mental health. And I remember just sitting with myself. It's like, okay, if there is no God, you are very angry, you're sad, you're hurt, you're buried under this, you're just burying yourself in your room, eating cereal all day and looking at YouTube. If you have this and you've kind of just shut the whole world out and there is no God, then what?
Right.
And it was like, wow. I had to like sit with that. That was one of the toughest pills I had to swallow. And so I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to pray. And it wasn't this white picket fence of let me just talk to the Lord. I went out to this tennis court because I live in not Southeast DC, Capitol Hill. I live in Southeast, you know, West Philadelphia side of Southeast. So I live where Antifa and Black Lives Matter are scared to come. Let's just say that.
Right. Yes.
They ain't coming over here. So people are like, why are you outside? I'm like, I'm good. So I went out to this tennis court that didn't get any action, and I just dropped so many F-bombs. And I'm not going to say that on this. This is a live, and I'm sure many people watch it, but that's all I knew to say. All I knew is just to give God all the black tar that was inside of me.
I think you need to do that. It's like you need to vent that out and just kind of like go through that grief. And everyone has different ways of grieving. I just want to read this really thoughtful comment from Tiffany. She says, and yes, the 21 days after, it took me 2 to 3 months before the full gravity set in after planning the funeral. I wanted to close off into a bubble from the world. And that's when I learned the true way to protect boundaries in my space. That is so true. I think it's really important when you're experiencing any types of grief is to allow to have that space away from everyone to navigate through those emotions. So like how important was that for you just to kind of like disconnect and just kind of like explore your relationship, you know, with God and just how you were able to kind of understand how to just go through your emotions of like losing your father. And then like, how did it actually make you become more resilient?
Well, man, you asked such an amazing question, Jimmy. It's like the funny thing about that is that I'd already had, I believe, or you're a career person, and so you don't leave one assignment unless you have something else sewn up.
Right.
And so I'd already had a job as a project manager for an independent website in Pennsylvania and Columbia, and I went up there when I came back here. Yes, this is DC, so you're going to hear sirens. Y'all know what day it is.
Yeah, I just like to say.
So,
yes, I know. And we were messaging each other about that. I'm going to charge my laptop really quick, but continue.
No, it's good. And I went up there and myself and the project and the director, we mutually agreed. It's like, I think you should be in that fire in DC with your family. And I didn't know that 2.5 months later, my father would die. And so I went I'd always worked since I was 13. And I started at Department of Justice, and then I went into Pure Life. And so I went to not having a job. And so you think about it as a man not working.
Right.
Not working at all. And it was just the strangest experience for me because it's like we learn or we're hardwired to kind of identify with our jobs and what we do. But it was a blessing in disguise because having that time where I was mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, I couldn't have worked. I would have been no good to any hiring manager. So I had to, instead of kind of burying the grief with busyness, what's up, Sid? I had to literally sit with it and just and just head it and face it head on, and even go through the Father's Day of just disdaining that day and all the anger. But the beauty of it is that God kept me honest with myself and with other people. And so it was therapeutic to not work, but to have time to actually really process all the grief. And grief is cruel. It's a journey, It's nothing that I'm over. I've just learned a new normal. I've learned how to do life. There's a wound there. And it's slowly over time, it's just getting better and better. And people say time heals. I wouldn't say that. I would say God heals. Sometimes time is just a greater reminder that person's not there. When you get married, when you have your children, when you graduate, when you get certifications, you want them to be there. And sometimes it hurts worse. So grief is a journey and we all navigate it differently.
Okay, I'm like tearing up right now. Just like the way you just explain everything as far as like grief and like time. And now it's like what Jennifer's comment explains like why you do these walks. So let's talk about that. What do you do in these walks? And I want to just say thank you just for being so open and sharing that part of your day with us. Because there's been days, and I don't know how long we've been following each other. I think we've been following for a while, but even before I started sharing content on LinkedIn, and you're like, what you're doing on LinkedIn is a lot different. And I feel like it's just so intimate. And I feel like I'm on that walk with you. as you're kind of sharing your thoughts, sharing your inspiration. So talk to me about these walks and why is it so important for people to like have those times for yourself where you're alone and you're just thinking through your emotions and thoughts and having that inner peace for yourself. Why is it so important? And what is it like? How gratifying is it for you to like, I think this morning you said, hey, June, you sent me a voice note. I just completed a 6-mile walk. So share like a little bit of insights there.
Yeah, and I know a lot of you have a very broad following with a lot of people, and so do I. Like, I love the fact that the crew and the tribe I'm a part of, a lot of them don't even believe what I believe. We got
Right.
Muslims, Hindus, you name it, anything in between, atheists, agnostic. But anytime I'm questioning about the walks, I have to be honest about the source of them. I can't just say I just pulled this thing out the left side of my shoe. It's like this is on the heels of my prayer and meditation time. And so since we're talking about mindset shift, I'm like a car. If you just sit me there, my tires are going to go flat. I've got to be in motion. And the walks, like Jennifer affirmed earlier, were birthed out of, I got to start moving because I knew I wanted to talk to God. I knew I wanted to yell. I wanted to curse. I wanted to scream. I wanted to just get all the tar out of me. And I knew, living, here and having neighbors and having other family around, it's like, that's like the appropriate space to do that. So I could just go out and walk 4 miles and make it to a forest, to a civil war fort, and just track through there. It's nothing there but deer and foxes. They ain't gonna say nothing back to me. So I would just be meditating and praying. And I got to the point where when healing began to occur and God showed me like, because I had a really rough childhood that, hey, I didn't take your dad from you. I gave him to you 11 years of your life as a brother in Christ. Some people that never happens. And so I began to develop actual prayer and talking to God. And so a lot of times I would whip out my camera because it would be so much churning in me. And I know for me, I have the attention span of a gnat. And so for
the same way.
Yeah, 2 minutes, 2 minutes tops. I say, let me just kind of churn this out. And I said, well, let me share it. I don't really know how to put myself out there. And I didn't know it would catch. Reggie.
Yeah.
That's my
he says, is that one with the forest? Wait, there's so many people are like blowing up the comments. Darren says, so many times your walks remind me to walk away. I want to touch on that, what Darren says.
Let's touch on that, but like that's how I start my day. It shifts my mindset so that I'm not in this sedentary thing of like, let me just get up and just like start working, but like let me get up and start walking, and let me get up and start talking and meditating and praying and getting even though I'm walking, I'm still getting still. I'm stilling myself, and I take some time in the forest in a certain spot and just get still. And then I share those thoughts. And again, I think when they really kind of hit was around kind of the George Floyd thing, because everybody, if you think about the nation we live in right now, you're told to take a side. Right. And I was just like, wait a minute, y'all know I love some Lauryn Hill, and she had this song called "The Mystery of Iniquity" back in 2001. If you read the lyrics of that, you think she wrote it today. It's just like, believe half or none of what you see. And I was just like, this is And I just believe God was calling me to speak to that in a way that's balanced. And when you're balanced, you're going to catch hell from both sides, because it's like, okay, well, I thought you were a man of faith or religious. I hate that word, or you're a black man. Ain't you supposed to be? And I'm like, no, you're not going to categorize me and put me into any box. I don't fit in any box, So it's just like, all right, let's just speak to this in a way that's balanced, that actually calls each one of us as individuals to account.
I love that. That way, like your message is so it resonates with so many people, and like how you even like share that song with me. You're like, I don't know, June, if you are spiritual, and I believe in God, and like the lyrics of the song that you shared, it just made me so emotional, but it also gave me hope of what's going to come in the future, right? And the reason why I was so emotional this morning is because what's going on right now in DC and what's going on in this country, and it saddens me. And I'm emotional because I think about my children, right? This isn't the world that they're living in. So Darren says, no boxes in 2021. I love that what you said to you're not categorizing yourself. You're you, right?
Yeah.
That's so important. That's so important. So what is like your advice for people out there? I mean, there's so many things that we could talk about. Like to get into like so many people are grieving right now. So many people are lost and confused of what's going on in today's world, and they're depressed because they've lost their jobs, they've lost family members. And what is your biggest advice on how to start building a positive like growth mindset going into 2021 and how to become more resilient?
Great question. And so actually, I thought about that, and I didn't want to think too hard because I'm better just like going on the fly,
Yes.
all the way 102% live. But I would say exercise. And I know everybody's because you're gonna have a personal trainer on, so I'm gonna let him do his job. But part of that is exercise spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and physically. Exercise in all of those ways. I think a lot of times we compartmentalize exercise to the gym. Get the body in motion, get the mind in motion. A lot of times, especially when we watch the news, there's so many sides and factions to what is going on, and you hear the political this, the political right, or the political left. Sit quietly. I really want to urge whoever's listening to this to take time to meditate. And it's not really, I think a lot of times you hear so many mindfulness people on LinkedIn and they make it seem like this ethereal, weird thing. Just 5 minutes, y'all.
Yes.
Take some
And
time.
like, yeah, you could do 5 minutes in peace and quiet and stillness. I actually like doing guided meditation. Because sometimes when I'm lost in my thoughts, I just start thinking a bunch of other different things.
Yeah.
But that's yeah, so that's so important. Like how you said, like practice some meditation. I mean, it's so important to take that mental break from your computer, from your laptop, from your phone, from Clubhouse.
We're gonna rap about that for sure. That's it. It's like take that time to meditate, take that time to pray, take that time to get that body in motion. And while you're doing that, I would say, especially for us right now, shut off the TV, shut off the radio. You're either going to be misinformed or completely uninformed. And a lot of times you think about where the media is leading us. It's like, don't think for yourself. We're going to do the thinking for you. And even you think about people, there's people who I deeply respect on the platform. They still post in a way where it's like, okay, I'm being authentic, but let me think for you. It's just like, no, you're not going to think for me. I'm going to sit alone and think for myself. Everybody's talking about this is how to do it. One of my first posts this year was find what works for you. And so everyone who's listening, who is under the sound of my voice, find something in a way to exercise mentally, socially, emotionally, and spiritually that works for you, that's sustainable for you. Because a resolution, you'll burn out from that. In February, you won't even be doing it.
I think you commented on one of my posts about like how everyone has like a different body, like mass index. Everyone has a different body type. Like your same like workout or your same diet is not going to work for me or for you, right? We're all different. We have different makeups, body makeups, right? And that's how we are like mentally as well. Adrian, what did he say? Oh, he says 15 minutes. He says 15 minutes can ruin an entire day. Yes, especially what's going on right now. Tiffany says, preach.
That's my sister.
Because I'm so there right now. Yes. Let's talk about all of these limiting beliefs that people feel, right? Either sharing content on LinkedIn or having the confidence to apply for that job, to start that new business. So what are your tips on anyone out there that is feeling self-doubt, who's continuously doing self-sabotage, making assumptions that are actually not true, but it's just that inner dialogue that they have inside themselves that I am not good enough? What is your biggest advice? Because you inspire me every day, and I know that, you're really passionate about, mentorship and counseling. So what is your biggest advice there?
That's such a great question. I want to say the A word that none of us in business want to hear, and that's accountability.
Jennifer just did a video on that today.
I know. I love Jennifer. She's amazing.
I know.
Part of that is, and I want to speak of accountability by way of community. And I have a post coming out probably in a couple of weeks about this. Whatever you're going through, don't carry it by yourself. And this, especially for the men who are watching this right now live or who are going to see this, we love to carry things by ourselves. We're naturally wired to think, I got this. And I don't want to be accountable with my thought life and with those inner turnings and those insecurities, because what would somebody think of me? I want to encourage you to learn and train your mind to let go of that. Because the very thing you think someone is, you are thinking and comparing yourself with the perception of that person. You don't know
Mm-hmm.
what they go through and what it took to get them there. The comparison game, don't compare yourself with other people. There's a scripture in Corinthians that says they compared themselves amongst themselves and they were not wise. Again, if you hug me and you shake my hand, I'm going to feel different because I am different. If I sit around and watching what other people are doing, I'll never get started. But it's just like, you know what? I have everything I need inside of me to go and blast off like a rocket. You have to tell yourself these things. One thing scientifically, and I know it's some brainiacs on here, your mind has to shut up to hear what your mouth has to say. So even going on those walks, I'm having to use verbal affirmations to tell myself the truth. The truth will set you free. The lie will keep you behind. The lie will kill you. It'll cause you to die, but the truth will set you free. Tell yourself the truth over and over and over again. The funny thing is we repeat so many bad habits. We'll sit
Mm-hmm.
there and eat that whole thing of ice cream like, man, I know I shouldn't have done that. Or waste time on YouTube or whatever it may be. But the good habits, the thing that could set us free, is it funny how we move away from that?
That's
And we
so,
tend to
yes.
not move towards what can set us free. See, knowledge is power, but knowledge is really the powerful thing is when it's applied. So for anyone who is at that place where it's like, I can't start video, I can't put myself out there, tell yourself you can and keep telling yourself you can. And set up that contingency plan for fails, plan for your first video to be a flop. But even if it just got one like, man, it's humbling. I think of even what I've been saying tonight. Let's talk about God. You got to think a lot of people don't really jive with that, especially what's happening in our nation right now. If the 12,000 people who are following me decided to hit the unfollow button and it's just one follower, I would be so humbled because that's one person that I can minister to and serve that can affect 1 million people.
My goodness. You need to write a book. There's like so many gems that you just dropped right now, especially that is like so powerful. And like I think that's what people often do too when they're thinking about should I post this on LinkedIn, is they often are comparing themselves, right? I'm actually curious, what was your first video on LinkedIn about? If you and when was it?
And my first video was probably like in January, and I think I was headed to an event. It might have been about it was about the new year and in the morning routine. And part of mindset shift is keeping a morning routine.
Yes, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Routine, because I live with through routine too. Wait, Adrian says there's like so many people commenting right now. Adrian says, live in the moment. All we have is now. Have the ice cream.
I love it. He's such a rebel with a cause. I love it.
Wait, Tiffany says, so I shouldn't have the ice cream I was going to have later?
Tiffany, do you, boo?
I love ice cream. Yeah, let's talk about routine. My routine in the morning is what I try to do every morning is I try to meditate, even if it's like 10 minutes, right? Even if it's 5 minutes at least, right? And then I journal. I have a gratitude journal. And then this year I started, and Adrian knows about this, I started a self-improvement journal of things that I want to work on, right? And then I fell off my workout game last year. I'm trying to do walks or jogs or doing like a dance workout. And like something about like you said, moving is just so therapeutic. So that's my morning routine. I know your morning routine consists of your walks. What else are you doing in the morning? Why is it so important for anyone out there to have a routine just to kind of kick off their day?
It gets the body. The thing is, we're all creatures of habit, and we can either form really good habits or really bad habits. I want to use a sporting example because I know it's some dudes who's going to watch this, and even the females. If you think of Serena Williams, she's known as the best women's server of all time, but she's been practicing that since she was 3. She developed that toss and developed that form and that wrist snap. So boom, 120 miles, ace right down the middle. But it's been inculcated in her being because she practiced it. And then you've seen other players that have really bad form on their toss and bad form on the serve out wide, and it's going straight into the net. So again, the more and more we do something over again, the more it gets inculcated and ingrained into our being. And so that's the importance of the morning routine of getting up. When it's like 20 below zero, I have to stay in here and I pray and I meditate and I read. But I make sure I read. I don't read like how people say, oh, I've read a whole chapter of the Bible, a whole chapter of this book. I bite off as much as I can chew, as much as I can remember. I want to know what's applicable. You know, for me, I'm very kinesthetic. I'm very hands-on. And so it's like, I want to be able to do this. It's almost like if you ever seen a person take a map and then put themselves in the map, it's like, I like to walk with it. That's my routine.
Yes.
If I don't understand it, I'm not going to apply it. And the thing about knowledge is that the same sun that melts the wax hardens the clay. Too much knowledge can be bad for you. You just end up with a bunch of information that you don't act on. So
That's
part
so
of the
true.
routine is make it bite-sized. That's
I love that.
Since we're talking about mindset and we're starting off the year, folks, all these little posts about this is what you need to do. I don't know how to make that sound or how that's going to be written out when you caption that. Please make it bite-sized.
Bite-sized and make it work for you. And I always say start small. Whatever you can handle. Like for me, I'm starting small. I'm doing committing to 31 miles this month. I know I could do more. I know I can. But I'm not going to stress myself out if I'm going to do commit to 50 miles, right?
Exactly.
Hopefully I'll get to 6 miles a day like you one day.
It's a commitment. Sometimes I do 10, but then the knees are like, ouch.
What time do you wake up in the morning?
6 o'clock. So.
And then you work at home? You're working remotely?
Yeah.
Okay, so your day starts at 9, 8
Yeah, the
o'clock?
day starts at 8:30. So.
Gosh, and it takes okay. I always say this too. It takes normally because I've done all these diets before and I've done these challenges before. It takes 21 days to make a habit.
That's it.
That's it. And hey, if you fall off, just try again. Don't beat yourself up for it. So many times people they start these new things, right? And then they fall off and they're like, you know what, I'm just gonna give up, you know? So what is your biggest advice for anyone that's okay, I'm trying something new, I'm trying to get into the mindset, I'm trying to commit to working out 3 times a week, 5 times a week, I'm going to journal, I'm going to meditate, and then they somewhere in the routine they just break, and then it just kind of paralyzes them because they're like, I can't do this. So how can that person or anyone out there get back into the mindset and say that I can do this? It's okay if I failed. It's okay if I think we wanted to talk about being rejected too, right? So what is your biggest advice there for people that have failed? Maybe they may miss something in the routine and they're trying to restart again and get remotivated.
That's what goes back to that A word of accountability and community. You know,
yes.
When you yourself, you're going to tell yourself we are our own worst critics and we're our own worst enemy. You know, and other people can see in us the potential that we can't see in ourselves. You know, sometimes if you think of a marathon, and I know you run, you walk, you jog, and they have community marathons. You have people on the sidelines all the time cheering you on, giving you water, giving you a Gatorade. You need that community, even if it's now in COVID, that digital community saying, man, go, let's go. You do it or holding that bike seat with the training wheels. It's let me just push you off, but go. You fell down, you get back up. I got your back. You know, live in the context of community and don't be afraid of it. And I want to encourage people because I know there's those people who just I've been rejected by people. I don't know if I can do that. This is one of the best times to develop community, y'all, because let me tell you what COVID has done. It has put the high places low and it's brought the low places high. We are all on a level playing field. We're going through this together.
That is so true. I feel especially this year or 2020, I'm still thinking that we're in 2020. Community has never been so important more than now, you know. And I didn't start building community until this year. Well, did your journey on LinkedIn when did you start establishing all these friendships on LinkedIn? Was it last year?
It was COVID.
It's COVID.
You know, I had that. You got to think living in DC, we're in traffic for about a good hour and a half, and so those walks actually birthed out of the time where, hey Melody,
thanks for being here.
Were birthed out of the time when I could actually, you know, that discretionary time of not being in traffic. It's well, I can actually go hit the sidewalk and hit the woods and I can be back at my workstation ready to work by 8:30, 8:45. And so that's when it started. And here we are.
I know, it's kind of great. I'm going to highlight Reggie's comment. He says, that's the best thing about Jahmaal. He's all about building community, encouraging others. He's a prototype for all things amazing. I agree. I agree.
Love you, bro.
Reggie has a live too, right? I think I've seen a few of his lives. Is he a teacher? I think I've seen something.
He's so amazing. I did a post about Reggie.
Okay, I gotta go look. Reggie, I gotta see your live. I think I've actually been on. I think I've seen a few streams.
UIOS, discover your other self. If anybody who's gonna watch this, jump on Discover Your Other Self. Connect with Reggie Waterman.
Yes, everyone connect. Let's build community right now. Everyone connect with each other.
And connect with Tiffany Castano. She's my family. I'm partial to her because she's my sister.
Oh, is she? Let me actually plug you in here really quick. Yeah, you know what's funny is I have like a really great group of friends, but I feel like I talk to my LinkedIn friends more than my actual friends.
Ain't it crazy?
Do you feel the same way?
Sometimes it's weird. Like, I mean, granted, there's timestamps that we have in our life of your boys gonna always be your boys, but like it was weird on my birthday. Like LinkedIn came.
Oh, I think I saw that.
Like, what the heck? It was just amazing. I mean, you know, I got the gifts from the people who know me for like 10 and 5 and 2 years or whatever like that. But like, I was just like, wow, yo, like who even knew? And the fact that like somebody could just DM you out of nowhere and you have that community and like you build that rapport, you know, like, I mean, you and I like.
Yeah. Wait, hold on 1 second. Hold on. I'll be right back. Hold on. 1 second.
This is live, y'all. Live with Jahmaal.
I have my wig for you.
Oh, wow.
So, side note, you guys, our DMs, me and Jahmaal's, we're always like throwing our damn wigs to each other. I wanted my Little Mermaid wig, but yeah, I actually have a bunch of wigs because I was like, oh, because when I got laid off, I was like obsessed with TikTok, and I was like doing all these skits.
That's crazy.
I'm gonna bring skits to LinkedIn.
Please do it. I'm all for it, man. Like the wig thing came from the fact of, I don't know if you're connected with Reggie Mack, but we're similar in that, of course, you know, my posts are motivational, inspirational, mental health, but at least once a month, I will do a LinkedIn etiquette post. I think that's part of the mindset. And it's like, it's time to snatch some wigs. It's like, look, y'all people who are posting, who are tagging everybody, y'all people who are coming in DMs trying to sell something as soon as you connect it, I'm snatching your wig. It's like, get out of here with that. So that's I love gently and lovingly snatching wigs. So,
yeah, I think you commented a post about something about like the DMs, like people sliding me DMs, and I think I commented like, LinkedIn is not Tinder. It's a professional. I know we can be friendly with each other, you guys. We built friendships, whatever, right? But LinkedIn is not Tinder.
That's it. So whether it's the wig, whether it's the lace front, whether it's the weave piece, I'm here to snatch it. If you come on here acting a fool, you better come correct. I can do it in a lovingly, wonderful, gracious way. I'm all about grace and peace, but sometimes that grace and peace got to snatch you up.
Yeah, you guys should see our DMs. They're pretty hilarious. So we're almost like for time. What is like, you have so many goals this year. You know, something about you were like losing so many amount of pounds, working out this many. What are your goals that you want to share with everyone so they can like manifest and happen for you?
Well, definitely. I think, yeah, you did that post. That was what, a week and a half ago?
Yeah.
Part of the goal, and the funny thing is right before this meeting, I was on a post-production meeting. So I'm 2 episodes into my podcast, but the post-production, I'm like, oh, Lord Jesus. Okay.
Wait, are you doing it all yourself?
That's the thing is I either need to farm it out or figure out how to do this. So if anybody knows someone who's not going to like break my bank, you holler at me, please. Because
I'm sure you could do it yourself.
Okay. I'm
like
trying.
upload it. Like what platform are you going to use?
Simplecast.
Okay.
Yeah, because everybody's saying use what's the one that starts with an A?
I don't know. I'm thinking of doing a podcast too. There's like all these things I want to do.
Yeah, it's to get that. Like I'm already 2 episodes in, but to get that off the ground and have that farming into the website, which is Listen and Speak. That's a huge goal of mine. And also, I think I want to apply for a LinkedIn Live.
You have to. You already said you were going to do it.
Yeah.
What do you mean you think?
All right, we'll do it. So,
what would you do? What's that? What were you going to say?
those are two huge goals. And I want to also, I do work in the space. I do coach on the weekends. And so to grow that and expand that, because I love doing that. Part of the material I use is 7 habits of highly effective people, but
Yes.
also I tailor the coaching to the client. I don't believe in the militarized, here's the program, because that doesn't serve the person. That serves you. And it's selfish and it's a waste of their money and their time. Put it out there. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's so important. Like, not everyone's going to have, not every like coaching method and way is going to be effective on this, like, on every person. I'm kind of like similar with my like coaching style. And I know people like, well, my coaching style is a little bit different. I mean, I kind of call myself like the Sour Patch, because like everyone, well, I'll tell you why. Not Sour Patch, but I know I'm like super positive and I'm like known as like the cheerleader, but I will give you tough love when you need to hear it. When you blunt, very direct, transparent feedback, only for your own good,
Right.
But then, I could come off really, really, really direct, but it's only because I want my clients to be successful. Okay. So you want to do a podcast, you want to focus more time in coaching. Are you coaching on the weekends?
Yeah.
Right. Have you thought of doing group coaching possibly? Would that work for you?
About that could be interesting. I like the one-on-one aspect right now because it gives the client a chance to. I tell my clients, and don't steal this from me, anybody, but it says be everything you are and be everything you're not. I want to work with you. I don't want to work with your representative, because when you give this, that's what you get back. And so I honestly, you think about so many coaches and counselors, they kind of have this flowery voice and, hey, just work with me. And it's just, I'm so mindful. And it's like, man, cut the crap. We're all human. And so I'm very human with my clients, but I'm also very, you see me on my walks, I'm also a very serious person.
Yes.
And so, but I still want to give them that space to be vulnerable and walk in that journey with them and be relatable to them. So I don't know in the group setting if you can do that. I'd like to. But
that makes sense.
I need to discover.
Yeah. Wait, Melody says, are you a Krabby Patty today?
That's so precious.
That's from SpongeBob. Okay, what do you okay, one last question. With everything that's going on right now, what is like the best advice you can give everyone?
Oh man.
to be at peace. Your thing is grace and peace. And one thing you said is shut off the news. What I'm trying to do is control what I can control, right? Mm-hmm. I'm trying to promote this very inclusive environment for like my friends here on LinkedIn to promote positivity and everything that I'm passionate about in building community. That's kind of my way of dealing with the stress, right? What is your biggest tip for what's going on right now?
With what's going on right now, obviously shutting off the news, but also shutting off the YouTube, shutting off the Instagram. You're going to be hearing so many voices. And there's a song. I want to make this short enough so people catch it, but it says the voice of truth tells me a different story. The voice of truth says, do not be afraid. The voice of truth says, this is for my glory. It's a Christian song, but it says, out of all the voices calling out to me, I will choose to listen and believe the voice of truth. And to sit alone and actually write. When you talked about journaling, that was powerful.
Right.
Listen to this, people. What you write down, you have to reckon with. Write it down, reckon with it, sit with it, and really take the space to say, all right, whether it's God or whether it's the universe, wherever you're believing, what do you want me to think about this? I ask God, I'm like, God, you are privy to things I have no idea of. I've been around less than 50 years. You've been around eons. I need your thoughts, because man is going to feed me what he wants me to know to lead me down a broad path to destruction. Just remember, broad is the way. There's many that go thereby. Many are going a certain way. We see that here in my own state, in D.C. right now. Narrow is the way that leads to life. Few there be that find it. I want to be named among the few. And if you want to be named among the few, write down what your thoughts are. Reckon with them. Sit silently with them. Take time for yourself. And if you're bouncing it off people, let it be few, trusted, proven people.
Yes. And protect your energy too, please. Yeah. I think Jennifer says, She says, you have to cultivate your bubble. YouTube is my escape. It's all plant videos and home decor. Yes, you guys have your little like knickknacks, have your little hobbies, you know, and that's my thing is I'm going to start like acting again because that's my kind of way to escape. I love to dance, right? And it helps me kind of calm my anxious energy that I feel. Be still. I love that, Reggie. Be still. There's so many, like we get so caught up in like trying to catch up on like either like LinkedIn, catch up on like house chores and like doing so many things. Like if you're a parent, doing so many activities for your kids and keeping them entertained. But sometimes, like Reggie says, sometimes all you need to do is be still and escape and just be in peace, in silence.
That's it. But I like what Jennifer said. Like it's a
Oh,
YouTube
yes.
channel that I listen to. Like it's perfect what Reggie said. But like even like people were asking me, like we did this group thing today, like Netflix, Planet Earth. I love Planet Earth. Just to sit there and just, you know, but to not binge on it in a way that's unhelpful. Set time, you know. So that's what I would leave with people. And also, don't plan out the year. Plan out 90 increments.
Yes.
90
That's what I've
increments.
been doing.
Just 90 days at a time. And if I could leave people with anything, because I know this is on YouTube and on Instagram and different places, and especially for like the LinkedIn business-minded people, be in a rush to give and not to take. You will reap what you sow. Trust me.
That's so true. Be in a place of like serving others by sharing your experience and helping.
Yes.
That's the way that actually helps me to kind of de-stress is helping others, you know, and it's really important to give back. And then we are stronger together, you guys. And thank you so much for doing this. Where can people find you? And by the way, I'm probably going to turn this LinkedIn Live to a podcast, my series.
Ooh.
I'm trying to, that could be a thing for you too, because I'm trying to kill two birds with one stone. Is that the saying? Because I'm limited in time and I wanted to do a podcast. So you may be on my podcast. So where can people find you?
People can find me right now on LinkedIn. I'm taking a break from Instagram right now.
Are you? Oh.
Shut that thing down at the new year. But you can find me on LinkedIn most easily. And I'm hoping by the end of this month to have the website fully up and running and optimal.
For your
So
podcast.
that's where you can find me.
Ooh, let me know when it goes live. We'd love to support it. What is your podcast name?
Listen, Then Speak.
What is it going to be about? Like, who are you interviewing?
Well, interviewing you for sure.
Okay, thank you.
But yeah, the funny thing is, my first guest I landed is a 5-time best-selling author. I'm like, what are the odds? But any entrepreneur, any career person who is taking a journey, I want to know from every angle. I believe that we're whole people. And a lot of times all we talk about is a career, all we talk about is a person's faith or their race or their romantic life. How are all these things interconnected and how have they made you you? And what have you learned in the process and what would you do different?
Right. Because we are so much more than our careers, right?
Yes. I learned that not having a job for a year. So.
You said, not having a job for a year. That's what I'm kind of learning right now. I don't have a job. I have my business, right? So that's so great. Well, thank you, Jahmaal. I'm going to play a little Queen Bee.
And nobody.
You don't have to dance. I wanted Jahmaal to dance, but he doesn't want to. So. Uh-oh. I love this song, by the way. Okay, there you go. Okay, you guys, thank you so much. If you're watching the replay, please connect with Jahmaal. He's amazing. Jennifer, yes, please follow Jennifer too. She's amazing. Everyone follow each other on this thread. All right, guys. See you soon. Bye.